Ah, Lord Malachor, a truly terrifying figure. He stood taller than any man, his frame gaunt yet powerful. Dark, ornate armor clung to him, seemingly forged from shadows and despair itself. Sharp edges and cruel spikes adorned every piece. His mere presence could curdle blood, moving with a chilling grace like a predator in his domain. Even the bravest warriors felt a tremor of fear when his name was whispered in the dimmest of taverns, testament to his dreadful reputation. His face remained mostly hidden, deep within the shadows of his helm, where his eyes burned like embers of cold blue fire. They promised pain and oblivion, and no one could meet that gaze for long. It felt like looking into the heart of a frozen star. A chilling mist seemed to roll off his form, the air around him growing noticeably colder. Plants would wither, small creatures would flee, and light itself seemed to dim, reluctant to touch him. This oppressive aura was his constant companion, a herald of his dark majesty. When Lord Malachor spoke, his voice was an abyss, deep, resonant, and utterly devoid of warmth. Each word was carefully chosen, sharp as obsidian, echoing not just in the ears, but in the soul. He rarely raised his voice. He didn't need to. The quiet menace in his tone was enough to command absolute obedience. "Your efforts are noted," he might say, the words dripping with unspoken threat. Or failure has consequences you cannot imagine. His pronouncements were like sentences of doom. Legends of his cruelty were told in hushed tones. Speaking of fortresses razed with a single command, of heroes broken not just in body but in spirit. He was the ultimate scary boss, the final challenge, the architect of nightmares for an entire generation. His name was a curse, a promise of the terror he embodied. To stand against him was to invite a dance with death itself, a chilling prospect for even the most valiant heart. The weight of his dominion was felt across the blighted lands he ruled. Witnessing Lord Malachor's power was to understand true terror. I once saw him from afar, standing upon a blasted heath. Below him, a rebellious captain dared to defy his orders. Malachor simply raised a hand. No incantation, no grand gesture, just a slow, deliberate movement. A pulse of black energy erupted, and the captain, his armor, his defiance, all turned to dust, scattering on the wind. The silence that followed was heavier than any stone, a chilling testament to his effortless destruction. His minions moved with a frantic, desperate energy. They were not loyal, they were utterly terrified. He tolerated no mistakes, no hesitation. I saw a trembling goblin once, fumbling a report. Malachor did not even look at it. He merely gestured, and the goblin froze, its eyes wide with horror, slowly turning to ice, a perfectly sculpted monument to incompetence. The other servants scurried away, their faces pale. This was the everyday reality under his rule, a constant dance on the edge of a terrible fate. There was a time our party neared his fortress. We were hidden, scouting, when he emerged onto a balcony, simply standing there, looking out over his domain. The sky above seemed to darken, and a wave of pure despair washed over us. It was not a magical attack, it was just him, his presence, the sheer weight of his evil. We retreated, shaken to our cores. No words were spoken, yet the message was clear. This place was death, and he was its master. The dread was a physical thing, pressing down, stealing breath. The psychological fear he inspired was perhaps his greatest weapon. He haunted dreams, his shadow looming over every plan, every hope. The thought of facing him directly was enough to make seasoned warriors falter. It was not just the fear of death, but the fear of what he represented. Utter control, unending darkness, the chilling certainty that he could break not just your body, but your very will to fight. This constant, gnawing dread was a battle in itself, fought long before any physical confrontation. To understand the monster, we sought an unusual source. We found an ancient device, a relic of a forgotten age, called the Oracle Engine. It was a form of advanced, almost sentient AI. We hoped it could shed light on Malachor's origins, perhaps reveal a weakness, a forgotten secret. The machine whirred, lights flickered, and then it spoke, its voice a synthesized whisper heavy with data and something akin to sadness. It had delved deep into the currents of time and fate to find answers. The AI's revelation was unexpected, heartbreaking even. Malachor was not always the harbinger of dread. Long ago, he was known by another name. He was a guardian, a protector of a small, sun-drenched village nestled by a silver river. He was loved there, had a family, laughed, and cherished peace above all else. The AI showed us images, faint and flickering, of a kind man with bright eyes, so different from the cold embers we knew. He defended the weak and stood for justice. Then the tragedy unfolded as the AI narrated. Betrayal. A neighboring warlord, one he had once called friend, coveted the village's prosperity. An alliance was feigned, and then the attack came, swift, brutal, merciless. Malachor fought with the fury of a lion, defending his home, his people, his loved ones. But he was outnumbered, and he watched as everything he held dear was consumed by fire and sword. His family perished before his eyes. The AI conveyed the sheer, shattering weight of his grief. The AI explained that this loss broke him utterly. The man he was died that day amidst the ashes and screams. In his despair he sought power, any power. He craved the strength to ensure such a thing could never happen again. He delved into forbidden arts, made dark pacts. He wanted to control fate, to shield others from pain. But the power he found was corrupting. It twisted his noble intentions. Grief became rage, protection became domination. He became the very thing he swore to destroy, a bringer of sorrow, a lord of fear. Hearing the Oracle Engine's tale, it changed things. A profound sadness settled upon me. The monster we faced, the source of so much terror, was once a man. A good man broken by unimaginable loss. For a moment, my resolve wavered. How could I fight someone who had suffered so deeply? The image of him, grieving amidst the ruins of his life, was a heavy weight. It was a stark reminder that even the darkest souls might have once known light. The enemy suddenly had a human heart, albeit a shattered one. I understood his pain, or at least I could glimpse its terrible shadow. He was a monster, yes, there was no denying the atrocities, the fear he spread, but he was a monster forged in the crucible of sorrow and betrayal. His current form, his terrifying power, it was all a twisted monument to a love that was lost, a desperate failed attempt to control a cruel world. This realization did not lessen his threat, but it painted his evil in a different, more tragic color. He was not born of malice, but sculpted by it. Yet, what of the present? What of the suffering he now inflicted, the villages he oppressed, the lives he crushed under his iron heel? His pain, however profound, could not excuse his actions. He had become a blight upon the land, a source of new tragedies, creating countless more victims, just as he had once been. The cycle of pain continued, with him now at its epicenter. To allow that to continue, out of pity for his past, would be a disservice to all who currently suffered. And so my decision, though now tinged with a deep sorrow, remained firm. I understood his pain. I even pitied the man he once was. But I cannot let that understanding paralyze me. I cannot let his tragedy become an excuse for inaction. The Lord Malachor of today must be stopped, for the sake of those who still live in fear, for the hope of a brighter dawn. I will face him. I will carry the weight of his past into battle, but I will fight. I must. It is my duty, my burden to bear.